Welcome back to Suburbanstead. My name is Rich. This is our 5th day of working on the 2005 Chuck Wagon with a Honda GX390 engine. We spoke to a few small engine mechanics through forums and chat services. We explained the history of the Chuck Wagon and that we replaced several parts, including this fuel line, from the gas tank all the way through to the carburetor, and we know that the fuel is flowing and getting into the carburetor. So let's just turn the fuel off and it stops. So now I'm turning the fuel on and it drips. So we know that the bowl is getting fuel. We've also replaced with a brand new carburetor behind this air intake, and then a new air filter inside the air intake system. We also replaced the spark plug to get the original, or not the original, but the appropriate spark plug in there. And we do have spark, and we replaced the muffler as well. And although we know it's getting fuel and we have spark, it starts fine and it idles. But when we apply throttle, it chokes and stalls, even when it's warm. We're hopeful that we don't have to get into the engine and fix valves and check all the pistons and fix piston rings. So today's plan is to re-inspect the carburetor for the 1 millionth time, check the main jet as well as the nozzle, but we're also going to address oil today. And the reason is, after speaking to a few mechanics, they were asking if maybe our oil is too full. So we're going to take advantage of when we change that oil, we're also going to apply some additive. And we're going to use this seafoam. We're going to put this both in the gasoline and in the oil. Then we're going to run the engine for a while and on idle. Then we'll change the oil again and run it again and see if that corrects our problem. At least we hope that it will. We have really no idea, but we're going to give it a shot. Here we go. The needle's sitting just fine, and I can see it moving up and down with the float. So I'm going to assume that that's okay. And the seal looks really good too. Again, this is a brand new carb. So let's take the jet out. Just make sure that we can see air through there. So here's the main jet. Let's see if I can put a light behind it. Yeah, you can see pretty easily, right? It's nice and clean and clear. And the same thing with the nozzle. Right, let's see if I can get this on camera. You can kind of see. Maybe it's a little bit hard. How about that? There you go. So you can see it's nice and clean and open and clear. Okay, so carburetor inspected. Let's put it back together, put it back in, and get on the oil. So seafoam calls for 1 ounce every gallon, and I certainly don't have a gallon in there. And 1 ounce is about 30 milliliters. So I've got about 10 milliliters here. I think I've got about a quart in there. So let's go ahead and put this in, and we're going to let it idle for a while. So the oil is draining, and it's black, but I don't see any water in it. Yeah, do more. Okay, that's good.
I did not spill a drop. For your information.
Yeah, it's still coming out a little bit dark. You know what? Can you put some more in?
Are you flushing it, basically?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. There we go. This calls for 1.1 liters. So I'm about halfway. I'm gonna put in about 7 milliliters of sea foam, as per the mechanic I spoke to. Starting it, contact. So the book says when you want to measure, when you want to see how much is in there, don't twist it all the way in. Just do that. And it comes right to that. Remember those marks I was told you about there?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to call that good. Contact. Contact. Welcome to Suburban DIY. My name is Rich. We're back here in the garage on day 6 with the 2005 Chuck Wagon 4x4 with the Honda GX390 engine. We continuing to have problems and we didn't want to come to this, but it looks like we're going to have to break into the engine. So a little bit of background on this. When we first picked it up, we thought we had a carburetor problem, meaning we poured gasoline down it and we were able to start it. So great, we picked it up, we brought it home. We took out the carburetor and we cleaned it, but we discovered during that process that we had a fuel problem, a fuel delivery problem to be specific. We had really, really nasty gas that had microbial growth in it. It was in the gas tank, it was in the fuel line. We did clean out the car, but we also replaced it. But we still had a problem. Although we could start it and we could idle it, whenever we gave it throttle, it would stall and it would really kind of choke pretty bad. So we replaced the air filter. We got a brand new car, by the way. It wasn't that expensive. Also, the muffler needed to be replaced. It was just the muffler itself. It wasn't the protective casing. We had the wrong spark plug. And we did all of that work. If you watch the other videos, you probably laughed at me if to see we're such a rookie here at the Suburban DIY. But it's who we are. We get in over our heads. We're trying new things, and today is no different. We are probably going to have to bust into this engine. So to start, we do know that when we press the throttle, it stalls. We also hear a pretty bad knocking noise, so we're starting to think that we've got problems with the rockers on top of the valves. Also, when we first originally took off the carburetor, we did a quick inspection into the intake on top of the valves, and I noticed some dirt there. But what I didn't really look at until I edited the part one of the video was much deeper in there. You can see there's just that nasty freaking gas and buildup around the valve. So our assumption is right now that we've got a valve and probably a piston problem that we need to get in there and clean it. So today we're going to start by first removing the carb and getting an inspection and a closer look into the intake on top of the valves. We'll also take the muffler off and we'll take a look at the exhaust valve as well. We'll take the spark plug off, we'll get a view into the spark plug hole, and we'll likely take off the overhead the top of the valves, or the overhead valve cap. I don't know what you call it, to do that. We're getting frustrated, of course, at times. It's taking way longer. There's a lot more work that needs to be done. And again, if you're a pro or if you've done this type of work before, you're probably laughing at me. Hopefully you'll give me some encouraging words, as we're a complete rookie to get into this level of detail. We appreciate it, but wish we didn't have to. We wish we were out even today riding this in the desert, having some fun. Anyway, here we go. Valves, pistons, inspection. So let's get into this now. Try it.
I've got to use this as a cheater bar so you don't beat up your hand. Wait.
Nice.
No, you don't have to punch it.
Sweet. Okay, sorry, try now.
Loose.
Nice. That works really well.
Yeah, I do it every day.
Sweet.
Cool.
All right. It came right off. Didn't need a tappy tap.
Gasket looks okay. It's pretty dirty. That looks great.
Okay, right at the top. Oh yeah. Right, there's no play at all. Oh. Watch out, I want that spring to... Here we go.
It was caught on that lever thing.
All right. So, can you tell which one is intake and which one is exhaust?
Intake as well.
Yeah, I mean, intake's a little bit bigger, but look at that. So we decided not to take the engine out and open up. We feel like the pistons are really moving smoothly. There's no noise and it cleaned up nicely. The valves cleaned up really nice. This was the intake valve and it was just totally grody and full of that crap. But same with the exhaust, it cleaned up really nice. So now we're going to lap these in to the header. And as we do at Suburban DIY, this is our very first time ever working on a head. It's our very first time cleaning this type of stuff up. It's our very first time of lapping valves into the head. So don't laugh at us too much. Here we go. Really don't know if I'm doing this exactly correct. We watched a few videos, we spoke to a few people. I think it's been pretty straightforward, but nonetheless, still don't know if I'm doing it right. Very first time ever doing something like this. Ah, shit. So my battery ran out on my camera, and as I was charging it, I was just way too impatient to wait to film this. So I put the springs back on. This one's on the exhaust, and this is on the intake. And now it's we got to put the, I don't know what you call these long things. I'm going to install it back in and put these rods in down behind it, down below here. We'll tighten these up here in a little bit. Um, these adjustment nuts and the jam nuts to get the right gap. It's I believe a 0.15 on the intake and a 0.2 on the exhaust. All right, let's just see if we got those. I believe I forget what they're called, rocker arms. Correct. There was the intake. There's the exhaust. Back to intake, exhaust. Okay, working properly. Let's start buttoning this thing up. One of the reasons we like doing these things at Suburban DIY is because we get to buy new tools. So I got a 1/4 inch, 3/8, and a 1/2 inch set of torque wrench. These bolts on the head call for 25 foot-pounds. So I got it set at 25 till we hear the click. First time using it. Click, click, click. Sweet. Let's verify again that these are working appropriately. They are. Let's set the gap. So I've never done this before. I think I did the exhaust side okay. All right, now that's good. Okay, I'm going with that. So this is the gasket off the valve cover that we pulled off, and there was this big rip in it. But I had bought a gasket set, a kit a while ago, so we're going to put this on, and then we'll put it together and put it on. Okay. There. Off camera, I put the throttle control mechanism, this piece on the top plate, back on. And I did it off camera because, well, one, I had to charge my battery on my camera, but the second was because I had originally taken it off, thinking that we were going to bench the entire engine. Well, we elected not to do that. We think everything was okay there. So throttle control mechanism back on. I'm now going to put the spark plug in. Then we'll put the muffler on and the carb, get everything checked out, and then we'll fire it up and see if we got it going. Yep, forgot the gasket. So there's a metal gasket on this one, but it's supposed to have a gasket there too. All right, see, more rookie mistakes. Here's the good news. Getting really good at the muffler, the spark plug, and the carb. I've done it enough times. It's like anything else. Do it a bunch of times and you get better at it. Okay, muffler is on. All right, let's test that real quick. Choke is off. Choke is on. Off, on, off. Okay. Check the throttle real quick. Working. All the electronics are hooked up. The carb is hooked up. Before we put the air filter back on, let's fire this guy up. Sounded a little bit better. I was a little bit worried there. So when I was pressing on the throttle the first time, it just didn't seem to get up to speeds and RPMs. Looks like I got a little bit better there. But then when I went for full throttle, it freaking choked again. All right, let's put the belt back on. I'm done for the day. Let's see if we can drive this. Contact. All right, so she's running better, but I'm still having the same problem where when I give it throttle, it just stalls out and it dies. It chokes. I don't know if it's flooding. I don't know what's going on. Um, I don't think busting into the engine and check the piston rings is going to be the issue, but you never know. Anyway, I was able to drive it out of the garage, just around a little bit on the block. It stalled once. I put it in reverse and was able to pull it in here into its resting place until I can get to it the next time. So, hey, thanks for watching. I know this is probably painful for a lot of you, especially if you have experience. I don't. I'm doing this the first time. But thanks for watching and thanks for joining us at the Suburban DIY. See you soon.